I'm also in the urban planning sphere, like Vanessa and others. However, I'm a solopreneur, private firm, doing mainly work in community planning, GIS mapping, and cultural preservation, so historic preservation work. I started
Okay.
in 2017, but just kind of informally getting contract after contract through my networks. And now I'm just taking a step back and trying to actually establish it as a business. My training is in urban planning and academic work, so the profit motive is something that I'm trying to learn, from just basic business structure to also operations. Um, and also even simple things like mission and vision. Like Vanessa, you spit out your mission and vision so quickly in that intro, and I was like, "Shit about that." But I'm a work in progress. So there's that structure, but even things like how much do I charge people? Really
Mhm.
looking forward to the support.
Awesome. Love to hear that. Okay. Great, great, great. And I definitely know what that's about. I've been, this company's 10 years old. My company's 10 years old. I'll give you a bit of background about me, but I only just recently landed on a solid, like, you know, pitch for what my business is. Um, so it's definitely, it can take time. It's a work in progress, like you said. So don't sweat it. Um, I will show you a little bit about my company. I'll share my screen. Okay, are you able to see my screen?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, great. So this is my company, Indie Life. We are essentially a hybrid marketing, creative, and event agency. So we're full service on both ends. And so you can imagine we're doing quite a bit end to end. One of the most unique things that about us is that we work with exclusively independent contractors, primarily local independent contractors. And so we really focus in on their capacity challenges. I work very much hands on with a lot of them in their own businesses because the better they're able to do for themselves and operate, they're able to do really well for me within my client work, which is critical. And so we have some amateur folks, we have folks kind of at every level, but we're able to fill in the blanks where they may be weak. And of course, they bring the strength of their capabilities to the table that we leverage for our projects and our clients. And so we have about 350 people that go across the multiple disciplines from, copy to design, etc. And then we also are, I can't see my screen. One sec.
Yes.
Hmm.
Do we get a copy of this afterwards?
That's coming right to you.
Great.
Here we are. I'm trying to hide the meeting controls and it won't let me do that. Okay. All right. And here's the event company. So I have two different sites because I wanted to keep them segmented so that there wasn't too much overlap, even though there is a ton of overlap. And that's one of the things I really have been working hard to make clear to folks. And so repositioning my business, repositioning, reorganizing, re-strategizing my services has been something I've done in the last year, and productizing my services as well so that they'd be much more digestible to potential clients.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, that's the big thing. So we do a lot. And while in the beginning that was a real driver and motivator for folks to hire us, it very quickly became that folks didn't really know what to do with us. And as much as, folks are thinking, they're not thinking. So you have to do the thinking for them and just spoon feed it, put it in their hands, you know what I mean? And make it really clear. Especially with the way people purchase today, right? It's all happening here. And so you have to really be thinking about your positioning has to live here, right? If it lives here, it'll live in their minds correctly. And so that's a lot because obviously we know we're juggling a million things. We know what the business is. We know how many implications it has and blah, 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 but there's so much to keep track of. So just a quick little rundown of some of the clients I've worked with, some of the projects I've done. You can still see my screen, yeah?
Yes.
Okay. Lost my controls. So So yeah, I've been in business for a very long time. I started doing events when I was 18 years old, and I did not really stop. Ever since then, it's been really about. Wait, where's my Zoom? Oh, there we go. Um, it's really been about refining and just clarity. But I've always wanted to have a framework for what I do and then all the different things that I'm able to do, right? And so that's been the challenge. And so Indie Life is finally that home and that framework, and it's been great living in that space. But the challenge has been mostly operational, and so I'm dealing with tons of staff, new staff on every project. There's a lot of churn in what I do, obviously, so people are coming and going, and it's built that way, right? So some folks, a designer may come on and end up being a go-to person for us for like 3 years, and then step off for another year, pop back up, another year later and say, hey, do you have anything? And I'm like, sure, I got something for you, right? And so it's highly flexible because I know that they need to work that way, and allows me the freedom to be able to work that way as well. And so that was another challenge. We had clients that were just kind of all over the place. It was really tough saying who our client was because again, marketing is ubiquitous. Everybody needs branding. Events is kind of all over the place, right? And so it was really tough to narrow all that down. So positioning was key. And then productizing the services was another huge key for me. And just honestly, the overwhelming weight of carrying this thing has been just a real challenge, to be honest with you. It's really a lot. The ups and downs are, they're ridiculous, and you just have to keep it moving. So for me, and why I'm here talking to you about systems and a lot of that management and scaling is because that's where I focus a lot of my attention because I'm what I learned not too long ago, a few years ago, was this idea of principles first thinking. I didn't know that I was that type of a person, and it's called principles first thinking. This idea, or first principle thinking, this idea that you don't really address the symptoms, you go straight to the core. And I'm someone who does that almost to a fault. Like I almost can't address, the thing in front of me because I know what's behind it, right? And I'm like, let me go deal with that. And so that's where I've really focused a lot of my attention in the last several years is on my operations to free myself up from the business. And so that the work is just a lot more fun. I love my work. I've been in it all my life. I'm very proud of myself for getting to this level with it. I'm 47 years old, you know what I mean? And I'm more than willing to pat myself on the back. It's been ridiculous, but I love it. I absolutely love the journey. I love the ride of it. And so for me, it's really just about how to make it more streamlined so it can be a pleasure in my life and not a weight and a burden, right? And so that's what we're here to talk about a bit. So any questions about what I do or any of that I mentioned? I got some claps. There you go. Appreciate that, Vanessa.
I want to hear
I don't
more.
have any questions. Yeah, I'm like, let's go. Let's go.
Yeah, keep going.
All right, all right. Um, well, actually, I wanted to I'll show you a bit about my systems. I'm sorry. You know what? I have to keep moving the panel that gets in my board. Let me move this actually. Hmm. All right. One of the things I'm going to show you how I run what I do, right? So this is Basecamp. Do you all use any type of project management or virtual office platform?
I use Monday.
Monday, okay. Do you like it?
It will do. I feel like I need to explore other options out there. It helps me track to-dos and what I'm marking off and what I'm getting done. I was playing around in Trello for another project that someone I was working with uses often, and I like that interface more. I like how it literally looks
Mm-hmm.
like a to-do list. You kind of like it's more
Mm-hmm.
the interface is just more aesthetically pleasing. But yeah, I definitely use project management because without it in my calendar, I would consider that a project management tool, but a Google Calendar. But I want to get more
Absolutely.
into
Yeah.
Trello. I want to try Trello out more because I like the way that looks.
Okay. Good to hear that. And Safani and Gabrielle, what are you all using?
I'm one person, so I find I've tried to do it. It seems like a lot. My closest thing
Meaning
is
setting up one of those platforms?
I've tried Asana. I have seen Monday. It's because I'm one person, it seems excessive to me. So what I
Hmm.
predominantly use is Todoist, and it's
Hmm.
just a list of tasks that are connected to my calendar. And so I just keep making sure that I do my to-do list, and that's how I get things done.
Got it. And is that a written list or are you using like Google Calendar, Google Tasks situation or?
So it's a written list that is
Hmm.
connected to your calendar. So if you make an event, it shows up in the list. Or you can say, this is my task that I need to do. But usually you need to connect it to a time on your calendar. So if there's no time on your calendar, then you don't actually have the ability to complete that task. So that's how it keeps me on task.
And what's the name of the platform?
Todoist, I will
Okay. So,
send the
I'm
web.
familiar with it. And what are you using, Gabrielle?
We use Asana and Google Calendar and a lot of spreadsheets. We used Monday for a while, actually, Vanessa, so I'd be curious to, I set up Monday at my old job right before I left, and so we ended up using it, at BEM for a while, ultimately moved away from it. But anyway, we've really been focusing on moving our marketing and programming sort of systems into Asana. Um,
Mm.
and I'm cautiously optimistic about how it's going to go. Um, but so far we've done a lot in spreadsheets and docs.
Yeah, and I like
Okay.
Google Drive too because it's like minimal in cost. I think we pay a little bit of a small fee to have like more of a larger storage capacity with it. But yeah,
Hmm.
Monday just also seems expensive. And I don't know what the market rate is for these platform management platforms these days, but we pay like several hundred
What are you
dollars, I
paying
feel
for
like a
Vestmel?
year. For Monday, I feel like it's like $500-600 a year or something like that. I need to go double check, but I think there's a monthly track and then there's like an annual fee you can pay. We have
Sure.
multiple consultants that we work with, which I think ups your fee. Like the more people you have on your team,
Right.
the more
More
expensive it
users.
gets. But I'm like, dang, this is a lot for it not to be like me loving it. So I'm excited
Hmm.
to hear like, yeah, what everybody else is using and what you're using.
Yeah, I've played around with so many of them, and I've stayed with Basecamp for quite a while. I've attempted to move out twice, but I kept coming back. And so, as you mentioned, the interface and the functionality are really critical. Obviously, you have to want to use it to be able to use it because you can always just pick up a pen and just write down what you need to do, right? On one hand, and so you really do need to sort of really enjoy the interface. I love Basecamp because of the fact that their philosophy behind it is that you should be working on one thing at a time, and that humans don't actually multitask. And that's a really big misconception that humans can multitask. We do not actually multitask, and so having too many tabs open at once, working on too many things at one time, these are really blockages to being focused and getting things done efficiently. And so their platform is built in a way that everything is hyper compartmentalized. So you can see here, I've got my company set up here. It gives you a quick rundown it gives you the schedule and a calendar on the left. And then on the right hand side, it gives you just a rundown of all the personal assignments as they come through. You can see that right in the front. And then I keep my home office space. These are sort of blocks that you can create, and then these cultural offerings. So under events, you can see the clients that we have here. And then this is the actual project space within that. And right at the bottom, you can see the project activity. It's literally a minute by minute tracking of everything that happens and whoever does it. So the calendar's tapped into there, and that's tied to my Google Calendar, obviously. Then you have an open chat where we just chat about the project. Everyone's on the team can get that chat as like a open text, like a Slack or something. And then we use this Kanban
Yeah.
for
How many people
we
on
use
your
a
team?
Kanban for. Mhm.
How many people on your
So
team?
my team fluctuates, and so normally I have a project manager, at least one project manager, an assistant, and a field coordinator. So the field coordinator deals with a lot of the event staff that I have, and then and I have event coordinators as well. I bring on if we're producing an event. Project managers mostly deal with the creative staff and the creative projects, and so that's mostly the internal team. But they're also 1099, and so I keep them at a kind of higher level where they're on. I have them on deck, like 3 or 4 of them. And that, as I have something come up, I say, hey, folks, there's something's coming down the pipeline. Are you available? And I bring one of them on. So I'm not recruiting them as I go, but they're in the database. And so the membership is really what drives and sort of fills the gaps for me.
Okay.
Yeah. But the onboarding, you can imagine for me, it was about streamlining the onboarding process because for every project, I have to bring on new people. And some of these people may have worked
Mm-hmm.
with me before and some of them may not. Right. So
And
onboarding
the
is really
time it
key.
takes to do that, I mean, this is so smart that you
Yeah.
found a way to automate it. And I'm sure there's still some sort of, uh, ramping up, getting them ready, but just to have like a central location where they can look at all the
Sure.
things they need to do and have to be informed about the work. Those are the type of things that I need to do because we're too small to be doing all the things.
Absolutely. I'll show you really quickly also. I create onboarding documents for almost everything that we do. And so here's this one.
While you're pulling that up,
So
can
this
I
Basecamp
ask like,
org. Mm-hmm. Please
I was just gonna ask like,
ask any questions as you feel
do
free.
they actually use it? Like, do people
Yes.
actually
So
review it? How do you hold people accountable to be like, okay, go through the orientation board
right,
before you
right.
come and ask me a bunch of
Bother
questions?
me when you don't know what you're talking about, right?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so there are sort of checks and balances you have to put in place when you write these up or you take time to create SOPs, and that sort of thing, systems operation. You have to have systems in place to check that people are really working, right? Now, it's a lot easier when people are on your team, obviously, because you know them.
Hmm.
They're going to see you tomorrow, right? My folks, I
Right.
may never see them again. Right? And so they're
Hmm.
like, whatever. But Basecamp, for example, jump back here. Where's Basecamp? Has an option that lets you, I don't know if I can do this right here. It lets you ask an automatic question. Where's this? So you can pop in and out these modules, right? That lets you do different things. I don't use them all at the same time. There is automatic check-in. This right here, can you see this?
Mm-hmm.
So this automatic check-in lets you set up whatever you want, and it goes out to the team whenever you set it up. And so on Mondays, our system runs on Mondays is when in the mornings. I'm a late morning person, so I'm up in the morning actually pretty early, but I'm not ready to talk or deal with anybody, right? Until about
Same here.
even my phone is set to give me alerts at like 9 a.m. Right? Don't even tell me about what's going on until 9, and I don't really start getting busy till like 10. But for Mondays, it's different. So the internal team, especially, and then any project that we're working on, Monday mornings up to the afternoon is really set up for my team to meet and just deal with the week. What are we doing this week? So one of the automatic check-ins they get says, what are you going to do this week, right? Because we have different projects running at different times. Everything's moving at different paces, et cetera. And everybody's working at their own pace. They're all working remotely. Everyone's remote, right, over here. So, and it's asynchronistic, right? And so the idea is you might be up 3 a.m. working and you're not going to be back until Monday afternoon. You know what I mean? And so these kind of tools allow us to be on the same page at the same time, essentially, or when we need to be. So having Mondays, like I said, is when I meet with my team. They send this to me before 9 a.m. and then we meet at 11 a.m. So by 9 a.m. they have to send me what is it that you're going to do this week, and then I have a chance to check that out. I'm having my coffee, right? I'm just checking that out, what they're going to do, and I'm saying, okay, well, not this, not that. I got to add this back in. They didn't know something happened over the weekend. I'm going to inform them about that. We have the meeting. We talk through everything. Everybody sets up their tasks, and then we're off for the week. And then I'm going into my next meeting with my creative staff or whatever my teams are per project or per client, and we're kind of doing the same thing, right? And so this is interesting for me because Mondays for me are kind of my day off. I've always worked in events, and so in events and marketing and promotions, and so we work when other people are not working, right? Weekends is when you're at an event, right? I'm trying to appeal to you because you're at a festival, right? That's not happening on a Monday afternoon. So when you're chilling out, we're working, right? And so holidays, weekends is when we work. And so Mondays are a big day off for people in my field. But I have to get my team set up. I'm the owner. You know what I mean? If I don't do that on Monday and they're kind of doing other stuff that they're doing, they're juggling other things, it can kind of get lost, right? If I don't get them that till Tuesday, they might not really get to it till Wednesday, right? So at least I have that set up, boom, and that's good to go. So that's just one example of a way that the system works. I have something set up as well, just kind of protocols in place, but then the system allows me to back that up.
Mm.
And I'll show you also, in terms of when you ask about are people using this, I use Notion for some of the backend stuff. I pulled away from it. Raise your hand if you've heard of Notion, Notion. Yep.
That is
Really
another
nice.
tool I didn't mention that I use, and I love it. I love Notion.
Okay. Awesome. What do you use it for?
I mainly use it to put out board reports. So Notion, I know
Right.
there's so many different functions to it, but I like how you can create a document but make it a website. So instead of
Right.
what people, Google Drive, I love it, but it's so frustrating because I feel like even when I share people and give them all of the permission and power, they still sometimes can't access the document. Instead of
Yeah.
expecting
So I have to
everybody to have a
request.
Gmail and log in and get to the folder and find the folder, I use Notion to like put out my board report every month. I'm like, this is what we did, this is what we accomplished, this is what we need your help on, this is what we're doing next month. And they can just click the link, go to the website, see it, view it. I can make it all cute and colored and themed. And instead of
Right.
just like uploading files that bog down people's inboxes or are hard for them to find in Google Drive.
Agreed. Yeah, that's exactly how I use it. I thought I might be moving out of Basecamp into Notion for project management, but it's not really doing all that, to be honest. So this is what I use for my admin assistant to assess where we are. So after a few months, we just sort of review what we're doing. And so I gave them this that allows them to sort of review the work, and it sort of breaks down their job description, but then breaks it out into what they're doing well, what they're thriving in, where they have room to grow, and what needs attention. And I'm able to show that here directly. So they review that, we discuss, break out what needs room to grow, and then I'm able to elaborate, and they can also sort of chime in as well. And so this is how I kind of test that they're even using the systems I'm giving them, right, over time. And I also gave them this, what I call fertilizer. If they're the plants, they need some fertilizer. So these are just great information for how to think about the work. How you think about your work is really important, right? And so it's really the mindset, I find, is critical. And so have you heard of this second brain concept? There's a guy
I
named
have
Tiago
not.
Forte. There's a guy named Tiago Forte. He came up with this idea of the second brain. And the idea is that, and this is very true in terms of just human interaction in societies. We used to store information with one another, and we do quite a bit still, but not the way we used to. So like think about phone numbers, right? People used to actually remember people's phone numbers for the most part. And so or addresses, right? And so it's almost like, oh, my mom knows such and such, or my friend I know has that person's number, right? So we kind of store information with one another, right? And we don't do that as much anymore because of obviously these screens. And so we're ingesting a ton of information. And so his system here, capture, organize, distill, and express, is really meant to say, capture the information. Yes, you're watching a bunch of YouTubes, you're kind of downloading a million bits of information, but you have to activate it in order to make it stick, right? Because we are not retaining all of that information. When you have one of those binge days on YouTube, right, you're not remembering everything. And so organizing the information into a system, which he calls PARA, which is projects, areas, resources, and archives, right? And I'm gonna send you guys all of this as well. Then you distill it down. And so you actually work within it. By doing this as part of the distillation process, right? And then you express it. So if it's something that let's say it's an article that you wrote or that you read and you really enjoyed the article, the expression process is where you would actually go back and highlight the parts that you really like and then pull that information out, right? So that you actually can make it actionable and really ingest it. So this is where I shared this with my team so that they could, just sort of think differently about how the work goes. So these are all videos that I share with the team. So this is how I help ensure that folks are thinking the right way about information, the information we're going through. And then after that, it's really about practice. They have to just do it, right? And so that's up to me as the owner or my project manager decided to make sure that people are doing what they're supposed to be doing. I'm not sure how much more time we have. I want to say we have about 15 minutes. I want to get a little more in depth. Unless you want me to just keep rattling off stuff, I'm happy to do that. Or would you like to get a little more depth into something particular about, I could take a, specific case from one of you or address a
Can you,
specific need.
can you tell me a little bit about your background in the sense of like, did you go to business school to learn all of this and to create this setup, or
No,
how did
no, my dear, I am self-taught. And I came out of artistry, so I'm a performing artist. So I, I started doing shows at 18 because I kind of skipped over my background, I guess. I'm sorry about that. I started doing shows at 18 because I was a performer. So I was like, oh, I'm going to put on the show where like I'm going to be seen and then get picked up, right, by a label or something like that. And so I rhymed and I was a poet as well. And as soon as I got and into it, I just was meeting tons of artists, and I didn't know it at the time, but I got a real eye and ear, so I know design. I just have an exceptional taste for well-made things, right? And it can be music. I have very broad taste in music. I'm Any given day I'm listening to like downbeat or reggae or like straight up indie rock from the 90s or whatever, straight punk, whatever. I'm all over the place with it. And so that's where my taste all needed to sort of fall. And so I was meeting artists and amazing artists, I should say. Many of them still have careers today, right? From back then. So I was recruiting artists and putting them onto shows. And so through doing these shows, and this was literally just an epiphany moment. I had a light bulb. I'm one of these light bulb people, right? We were out rhyming. Some girl from Bryn Mawr College was like, "Oh my God, you guys are so good. You guys should do a show." And everybody else was like, "Oh, that's really cool." Da da da. And I was like, "We should do a show, y'all." You know what I mean? So I just got to work. I had no idea what I was doing. I'm telling you, I didn't. I went to school several times and left every time. Okay, and I did all right in school, but I just didn't love it. And so I knew I just was very driven on my own. I'm very self motivated. And I love to learn. I love to research, and I love to do things better. I'm iterative, and any artist is kind of iterative by nature, right? And so that's really what this is all about. Is my business itself had to go through iterations as well, right? And so this is Indie Life 3.0. So right now I can show you look at this. This is right. You see the title here. This is 3.0, Indie Life 3.0. That's what time it is. So I can explain and break down the different iterations, where it started, how it got to part 2 and part 3. But just like any particular document you might write, right? I mean, in writing, editing is 90% of the process, right? And so it's not finished when you did it. When you finished it, you have to go back and keep doing it. And so that's what allows you to sort of think about the business that way as well. Right now we're at this level, we're tackling these things, but I see that next level. In order to get there, we're going to have to streamline some of this. I'm carrying too many things. And so part of that process, and this is what I'm going to share with you after, is this checklist that is a bit of a sprint on how to break down your work. Because that's really the first part, is to not take for granted the work that you're doing. Every one of us probably got into this just doing it, right? Whether you learned it first and was doing it, right? You do it, and that's how you learn it and you get better at it. But at some point you have to back out. You have to zoom all the way back out and really just sit, right, for like a week, a month, right, several months, and allow yourself that time to say, what the fuck am I doing, right? You're right, okay, like what exactly is this thing? How is it supposed to work? Why is this a problem? When I'm catching an attitude in the middle of the day, what happened, right? Who did what? It's not about blame, but it is about responsibility, and it's about understanding how to fix it so it doesn't happen again. And so, thank you. Stay there. And so that's where really understanding your work takes a little bit of time. And so, raise your hand if you heard a book called The E Myth, letter E, Myth. So it's a book by a guy named Michael Gerber. Phenomenal book. I recommend it to many, many different people. Anyone who actually works on my team has to read it. So this is a master class. They don't offer this anymore, but I took it years ago. And basically, one of the tools it gave us was to break down the various hats that an entrepreneur wears. And I had been, like I said, I've been doing this since I was 18. I think I got this book when I was like 35 or something. And so all that time when you use this term wearing hats, I really didn't know what that meant. I mean, it meant responsibilities and roles, but him breaking this down this way, there's the entrepreneur, the CEO, there's the manager, and then there's the technician, right? We spend most of our time here doing the day-to-day, and then managing those tasks, right? And trying to be better about it. Rarely do we really spend the time here to look forward, to reshape everything. If you're shaping this person's work, right? If the manager's coming from outside, you have to shape their work. What system are they coming into, right? And very often we kind of lead by abdication where we're like, oh, you came in here, do it, right? And there's this kind of assumption that because they were professionals, they had their resume, they've done this kind of work before, they know how to do it. There's nothing to tell them, right? I think we all know that that's a big misconception, right? You have to tell them how you do it, right? Here's the best way to do it, and here's how we do it. And so that's critical, critical, critical. Bringing people in and not training them on your system is just a nightmare. And then it leads to a lot of scope creep, right, with employees and otherwise, because there's just this idea that like, oh, they're there, so let me just ask them to do this. Hey, can you just take care of this for me, right? And they're in the dynamic where they don't want to disappoint their boss, right? So they may say yes to something they really don't know how to do or don't really want to do and shouldn't be doing and don't know how to say that to us. You know what I mean? So this is where compartmentalizing all this information is really critical. The strategic work versus the tactical work, right? Defining the results versus producing the results. We've all heard of working on your business versus on your business, right? And we have to do both all the time. I'm going to share a version of this with you all. So it's just again, a listing of what did I do today? What was the task category of whether that was the entrepreneur, the manager, or the technician, and what type of work was it, right? Was it systematic or was it technical work? And so doing this over time, really, I did it, I did it, and it blew my mind. It completely blew my mind that a lot of the work that I was doing fit into all those categories, not only, but was able to help me understand these are the things that I can pass off to someone else, right? And you begin to do that just by tracking the work. You begin to mentally start to put that role together, right? You know what the role is, but how does it work in your company, right? And so these are the things we do here. So for Indie Life, for example, when I hire assistants, they have to have two skill sets. So they have to have your obvious administrative assistant skill set and experience, but they also have to be able to do they have to be an excellent copywriter or marketing writer. They have to be a good graphic designer, like just basic graphic design. Can you throw together a quick social media post for me, right? Or what was the other thing? Sometimes I've had those folks act as staffing coordinators, right? If I'm have a staffing heavy year, because again, I do a number of things, right? And if I have a staffing heavy year, my admin person can also double as that person. It just gets them more hours, but it's not a stretch in terms of the work. You know what I mean? So that's how Indie Life's admin assistant works, right? They always have another skill set. And so most people don't do that. I know that, right? But the way it works here, we're in creative work. Creatives always have multiple skill sets anyway. I never met a designer who wasn't also something else. Do you know what I mean? And so that's the way it kind of is in my world. But again, listing everything out helps you to see what it looks like in your world.
Mm.
I had a quick question. I had two questions. One, I don't know if we'll have time for both of them, but one of them I saw on your checklist that we also use QuickBooks online, not regular QuickBooks. And I was curious why you had a not QBO there in parentheticals.
Oh,
And
yeah. Mhm.
and then my other question was about something that I feel like I've been struggling with is knowing that we don't have the money to hire people for full-time roles yet and figuring out
Mhm.
what is really figuring out how to budget time for new roles, and knowing that different people can do different tasks in different amount of time, and sort of how to manage that has been an ongoing challenge for us, particularly for marketing roles. So I'm curious if
Mhm.
you have any thoughts about that, particularly since you're sort of in a ongoing hiring mode, it seems like.
Yes. I will show you a couple of things. I'm getting into my mural. Some logged out. Oh, to answer your question about QuickBooks Online. So I hired I hired sorry, an
Bookkeeper?
accounting team a few years ago, bookkeeper, yeah. And they were the most sophisticated. They were like a team, right? They're like a serious accounting firm who actually specialize in like larger small businesses, right? You know, small businesses can be up to like, 500 employees and be making
Right.
$5 million a year and plus. And so they deal with higher end, larger small businesses. So they told me that they moved me off of QuickBooks Online and had me get QuickBooks, the hard system.
Mm-hmm.
They said, and they have a document. They pulled out a document. I don't even know how many pages long. It was like a damn scroll of literal instances and incidences where QuickBooks Online messed something up for their clients.
Wow.
And so, yeah, literal miscalculations, poor data. I was blown away. And actually, I had me in a previous, wow, I forgot about that. My previous bookkeeper was a solopreneur, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we had a lot of hiccups, and I thought it was their fault.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was their fault. Every other week they were online, they were working with QuickBooks customer service. And I realized half the problem was theirs, but I was like, this cannot be all them, right? So that wasn't the only issue we had. But part of why I moved away from them was because of that. And I had no idea it was the online system. So that was a few years ago. I want to say maybe right out of the pandemic, I got those folks. So it's been a little bit. So maybe there's been update. I'm sure there's been updates and maybe they've made improvements. But I would really, if you have a tax accountant that does your taxes every year versus a bookkeeper, maybe ask them to like triple check your books or double check your books or something like that.
Good to-
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was just saying that's good to know. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Where's the workflow go? So here's a workflow that I have. This is the written version of this.
Okay.
So this is literally my whole process on the creative side. Now I have a whole different process on the event side, right? So you can imagine what I'm going through over here.
Mm-hmm.
New client comes in. This is the biz dev process I had to break down. And listen, biz dev and sales was not my world. And I'll tell you about how I became a biz dev person. So, here's the pitch. We win. And now you're on to client onboarding and creative team onboarding. Now recruiting and onboarding. So I have a additional process within my work because these people don't work for me. I have to recruit them, hire them, and onboard them all during a normal, process.
Mm-hmm.
And so other marketing companies don't have that issue. So I do. And so I have to streamline that just as well as I can. And my project managers, they're the ones that really take care of that. So when their PM is on, they really take the weight of that, which is a huge weight off of my shoulders. I was doing that. You have to write a brief for every part of it. So if a multi-layered project has a brand messaging component first, then it's got an identity design component second. You got a web design component third, right? You might be doing some marketing, social media, newsletter stuff for them fourth. These are each different people,
Mm-hmm.
right? There's a creative brief for each of them. I have to interview each of them, right? And build my team every time. So then you have just your, normal creative strategy process. What are we going to do? How are we going to do it? And then we actually do it. And this is just breaking down. Looks like a lot of mess, but it's just back and forth, passing the drafts and the approvals back and forth, right? When it goes to the client, once the client actually sees it, comes back into the loop, client sees it again, right? Until we're finished. So that's that. But then I have and what I did, I'm going to ask you guys in a second how much AI you're using currently. But I had AI take this and turn it into this written document. And it gave me each deliverable. And I didn't show you this. Within each one, if I click these, it shows what's in each part of the process.
Cool.
Right? So the PM duties, they have to write the brief, they have to post the brief to our job board, they have to field the applicant responses. That part was a nightmare for me, okay? Generating a short list to be vetted by myself and the advisory board if we need to. The advisory brief, as I said, blah, blah, blah. So all the steps are all in here. And so there's an integration between Miro and ChatGPT, I think I used. And so it was able to literally directly see everything and pull it out. So I made my changes and updates to it, but this is literally my whole process broken down, which is great. And I have another one that is for my um, where to go
Cool. Thank you.
event workflow.
Please.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think we're supposed to be moving rooms, maybe. I'm not sure.
Are we?
But
I think
thank
she's gonna let us know.
we
Yeah.
got
Yeah,
the little
I just got
timer.
pushed in
Oh,
here.
you got the little alert. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. Cool.
but I don't know
All right. Well,
how to go
great
to.
to meet you all. I'm sure uh the team will connect us afterwards, so I'll share all my everything with you.
Thank
Post.
you.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Rafik.
Thank you
It's
Much.
all.
very, very helpful.
Yeah,
So, sure. All the best to all of you. Wishing you love and power and success.
thank
Thank
you.
you.
I just got pushed in
Peace.
here. I think we might have a couple more in here.
Yeah.
Oh, we done.
That's moving me out too.
Folks around now. Okay. Welcome back. Welcome back. Okay.
Understood. Okay. And who wants to go next? Denisha or Emma, want to tell me about your business and one of your operational challenges you might be facing?
I feel like I heard my name, but it's breaking up so bad. I don't know for sure.
I did. We can go to Emma. That's cool. Are you having a bad signal? It seems like it's freezing and stuff.
Yeah,
I'm having a bad signal, but my venture is Blackspace, so I'm just here to be a fly on the wall.
Okay, okay.
okay.
And Denisha, are
Can
you
you
able to hear
repeat?
us?
It's better now. Let's see how long it holds.
Okay. So tell me a bit about your company and one of the operational challenges you might be having, or if it's biz dev related.
Sure. We are a Rook Research and Design Studio. We do most of our product. Uh-oh. Okay, I don't know. Most of our products
I can hear you good.
are okay, are public art and public space based, spatial
Okay.
aesthetics research for our clients, and thinking about activations like spatial activations um, for retention and enhancement. One of our biggest challenges is probably staffing and seeking, new contracts just based on capacity. So trying to find strategies and opportunities to allow tools to work in the background for us or things that we can deploy without a ton of coordination each time. Maybe if it's
Mm-hmm.
possible to plan these and then just deploy them. Um,
Mm-hmm.
that's
Mm-hmm.
our biggest challenge at the moment.
Solving. Got it. Got it. Got it. And where are you in terms of what systems are you using now to run the business? Do you use a project management tool or should you use calendars, et cetera? What sorts of tools are you using?
We don't have any PM, anything like that. It's pretty old school. We don't have the client capacity to invest in something like that at this time. So it's a lot of
Mm-hmm.
Google, which is great. Um,
Mm-hmm.
we use some visualization tools like Miro, which we're on today.
Mm-hmm.
We do have a pretty decent invoicing tool that we pay for that just helps keep things in track, and it's been useful for us to like gauge what our progress has been over the last 3 years to see growth or to see decline based on products. We have 4 categories, so that's been quite useful, but we definitely have room to grow in implementing new tools and services.
Got it. And in terms of staffing, where do you find what types of staff are you looking for?
Um, right now, all but one is contract based. We have about
Mm-hmm.
Anywhere between 7 and 25, depending on the product that's being provided at that time. Their contracts are typically all capped at some like hourly rate and amount of time to just keep us without going overboard.
Right,
But I
right.
have one part-time employee right now, which is great, and she is probably hitting about 15 to 20 hours a week.
Okay, got it. This is, I'll tell you a little bit about me and my background. I came out of events and I was a performing artist. And I started to do events. I just, I don't know. Okay, yeah, I started doing events when I was 18, and my thinking was that I was going to produce the show that was going to then get me seen and picked up, right? And so, but getting into events got me into marketing and promotions and branding, and then I went into doing branded at the corporate level. I ran a number of marketing tours for 17 years for all sorts of large marketing companies and brands, from Cadillac to T-Mobile to TD Bank, M&M's, you name it. And so working in all those different fields, all those different industries, really gave me a back end view of just what goes on behind the scenes in terms of marketing and operations across the board. And I've always been entrepreneurial since then. And so even when I was doing that, I was always independent. And so I was always a contractor. I rarely ever worked directly for those companies. And so that system has always kind of been in place for me. And my lifestyle is why I call my company Indie Life, because it really is a life, an independent lifestyle. And my whole world is sort of shaped around the work that I do. And streamlining that, especially starting a business from it, and an agency from it, streamlining that work was really critical, because the thing you don't want to do is create a job for yourself, ideally. And so that's been the mission for me, is just refining and iterating what the company is and how it works. And so that's where this is my quick view of my website. So we work with about 350 different currently members. They're all creatives of different backgrounds and disciplines, and across from, from copywriting to design, marketing, et cetera. And so we are constantly, there's a lot of churn with us. And so we're constantly recruiting, we're constantly onboarding. And then our clients are going through the same thing. We're onboarding them onto our process, because keeping them streamlined and on point is what helps make sure that our margins are where they need to be, right? And that scope creep doesn't take over the projects and make us lose all our money. So, we have this system in place for bringing folks in. We're just constantly letting them know. They come in, they become members, and now they become a part of our ecosystem. When we have programs available, we sort of bring them in. And so we have this bridge dev process. This is where I broke it down for myself to just better understand my work. And that was taught to me by a book called The E-Myth. Have you heard of The E-Myth? Letter E, myth? No? It's by a man named Michael Gerber. It was written in the 80s, and it's been on the best-selling business book list since that time. So it's it's hardly a business book. It's really a story that he's telling and kind of outlining various concepts. But one of the things he broke down in the book that really, really blew my mind was this idea that, did I get rid of it? The different hats that an entrepreneur wears, right? You're either wearing your entrepreneurial hat, the CEO hat, you're wearing the manager hat, or you're wearing the technician hat, right? And so you're either actually doing the work that the company does, right, providing those functions in real time, or you're managing and streamlining that work, or you are, sort of looking at the overhead, and the overall view of the business, right, from like sort of that 30,000-foot view as the entrepreneur, and the owner. And so they gave us tools that allowed us to literally break down that process. And let me see if this is it. Yep. So this is the E-Myth. They don't offer this anymore, but I took this several years ago. And this part is what really kind of helped majorly. So understanding the strategic work versus the tactical work, and these three main hats or personalities, as they call them. But this chart really was the first time I sat down and understood, because again, I had been doing this work with blinders on and just kind of really going and making the work happen. And so I had never really taken that zoom out And this chart helped me break down what exactly are my tasks and how long do they take, and the duration, et cetera. And then what category do they fit in? And then this also helped us to be able to offload some of that work and some of those duties when it came time. And so that's later on, much later, I was able to break this out with literal steps of each step broken down, and then also took that and turned it into a written document. I had AI turn this into a written document so that I can use it in various ways. And this is part of the onboarding process for my project managers, for various team people, as we need to bring them in. So having these things in place, having SOPs in place, having these documents in place, and then systems in place for how we work. There's always these checkpoints. And so my project managers, myself, we always know how to work with creatives. They're temperamental. They're kind of like, if you've heard of working with artists, they can be like working with artists, right? And so they are artists at heart, essentially. And so being able to, they're not always on their, sort of left brain. They're usually on the left brain, not the right, if you will. And so how do we keep them on track? And that's just by having systems and protocols in place that allow us to kind of check their work and make sure that they're on top of things. If something is due tomorrow, we check in today, right, to get an update and to make sure things are on track, to give them the chance to communicate if they weren't going to communicate proactively. So just having systems like that in place, little things like that in place, have really helped our work. But tell me a bit more about where you guys are challenged and how I might be able to, address any of your specific needs. Any questions you might have as well. I use Basecamp as a project management tool. I would say, Denisha, if you can, there are some ones out there for like $30 or $40 a month. If you can find one like that, I do suggest starting to build into one, because it does help to just kind of streamline the work and compartmentalize things. But it may just take time, right? And so, like you said, the Google is great. This robust world of tools there, and I use it. We're based in Google as well, the whole company. We basically run the whole company through Basecamp and Google.
I have a question, because I've used Basecamp for years.
Sure.
It's been my go-to project management, because it's just super simple. Someone can just hop on and immediately know how to use it. Incredibly intuitive. However, I'm actually considering making a switch. As well as Basecamp has, been for us, it has limitations. And what I'm finding is that limitations are with automations, and there's no way to connect to outside sources, that project management tool to outside sources. So when I look to automate other things, then that project management tool doesn't necessarily, I don't even think you can link up other tools with Zapier with Basecamp. So it's very compartmentalized and native, a native system. So I want to get your thoughts on that, because I was actually thinking about either moving over to like a Notion or to a lesser degree a Slack for more automation.
Yeah. I mean, I'm in 100% agreement with you. I've been with Basecamp for a long, long time, and I love 37 Signals. I think they're a really smart company. I read their books, and I think they're excellent. But yes, they are hyper compartmentalized, and so I think their sort of strength is also their biggest weakness. And it's I don't know, it's forcing me out. I'm actually looking at Motion, which is not Notion, but Motion with the M, as in man. It's a AI-based project management tool, but essentially it's a calendar scheduler, right? And so it can automatically schedule you and reshape your calendar for you. And so I'm looking into that. When I have Notion as well, I use Notion mostly for building out content that I use. So this is a assessment tool that I use with my admin assistant to just kind of track their work. But I use Notion. I thought I might move over to Notion at one point, but the project management tools are not as strong as they seem like they were. The interface is beautiful, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I've not seen anything better, right, than Notion out there. And that's what makes it so sexy and fun. You want to play with it, but it's not really, and not to say it's all cracked up to be, but I think on the project management side, it might not have everything it needs. So I'm looking at Motion. I'm literally testing it right now. I just wrapped my 7-day trial with Motion, and I just hit them to see if I can get an extension for another week because there were a couple of things it was supposed to do that it didn't do, and so or
So
it was a feature that
Motion,
it
I'm
took
gonna look
away.
that up. You so you
Yeah,
tried
it's under
Notion
Use
and
Motion.
Motion. Is it Motion.ai or something?
It is Use Motion. Let me see. I'll pull it up for you.
Oh, so they're agents? It's an agent base?
So it has that. That's a newer feature. I haven't really tested that yet, and I'm kind of not that, I'm not jumping into that just yet. They might be a little premature with that, to be honest with you,
Manage all
which makes me
work
nervous about them.
in a single platform with a single handle. Yeah, I'm definitely going to take a look into that.
Management
Is there a
consulting. Sorry.
dashboard for you to
Um,
see all your projects on this?
yeah, I cleared my cache last night, and it's making me re-log into everything. I'm sorry. Give me a second.
Okay.
Let's see.
Yeah, it's like
Okay, here you go.
looks like it's about 2.5 times the amount of base camp.
It's significantly higher,
It's
but it also
significantly
does
higher than base
count
camp.
significantly higher. And I'm actually grandfathered into Basecamp. So I'm paying like
I
$40
am
a month for
too.
Basecamp.
I am
It's
too.
crazy. Unlimited users, right? I mean, it's kind of crazy to have unlimited users for $40 a month. But this does book. It does calendar booking, which I can get rid of my Calendly. It does time tracking, so my creatives as they're working, we can do that within here. That's a whole other app that also is pretty expensive. I can get rid of. And then these AI assistants interested in a little down the line, but if as long as I can do the core stuff right, I'm excited to see what that might be able to do. But essentially, if you put something on the calendar, it will move it around. So if something shifts, you can just move it, or it moves it around your calendar itself. And so essentially, it's saving the time because my project managers are also 1099, and so it's saving easily. It should be saving half the time that my project manager is spending doing what they do. And so that's what I'm excited about because if I can streamline and cut my costs, that means my margins are even bigger, right? Or if there's scope
Yeah.
creep, I have a little more room to play. So
Yeah.
that's
If
where
it
that
can
is.
do what it says it can do, like the price is justified.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
What is the
It's
customer
got a
support?
great
Have you used the customer support or the marketing associate?
yes. Oh no, I haven't tried any of the AIs yet. I thought you meant the customer service. Their customer service has been pretty responsive, so that's been good. And the fact that you can switch through views, that's another thing that Basecamp doesn't do. You can go, to a Gantt board, Gantt chart. You can go to a list. You can jump into a Kanban, and I love that. Notion has the interface is just like Notion, and so that's kind of a win for me because I've already learned it, right? There's a lot to do in here, so there's a lot to learn. I'm still figuring a lot of it out. It's really a million settings versus a Basecamp, but it's set up just like Notion is. So yeah, I'm kind of excited to see what it's going to do. But Denisha, I wanted to talk to you about a bit too about what you are using and how is it the staffing thing? Is it where for systems? Where is the you mentioned also finding clients. What is your business process?
What's my what process?
Business development process?
Um, it's pretty immature. We don't have a ton of clients, so it's a lot of just touching base, sending out updates and seeking referrals as they come.
Mhm.
we've been pretty,
Do you have a referral program?
no, we don't. We've been pretty blessed
Okay.
to just get word of mouth. Like someone comes to us by
Hmm.
a past client, which is great, but we're not facilitating that. And if what I'm hoping that we can do in this next season is find a way to build a pathway, considering that the current clients we do have are saying great things about our work and others are coming to us, but it's all been just, hey, such and such said you did this great. Would love to talk to you. So we need to find a way to integrate that into our processes. To your first question, I think systems is the first problem versus staffing. If I can find a way to integrate more dynamic systems that take some of the burden off of me and my other teammate, I holistically think it would make for a greater work environment. But it's so
Right.
tedious right now, the things that we have to do, I can see why people get burned out.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Um, do you think that there's a way to build a project management tool into your the budget of your next client or project so that you can charge it against that project?
If you're saying something, my screen is just freezing, so I'm not sure if you're following up.
Uh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I had said, are you able to hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. I was asking if you have a, do you think that you would be able to build a project management tool into the cost of your next project?
Yeah, I think that's a great idea, honestly. Yeah, yeah. I mean, short answer is yes. I think it's something we need to
Cool,
do
cool, cool.
and find ways to
Yeah,
do. I mean, there are a couple other things that we've talked about needing to onboard into our systems. A project management tool hasn't been one of them, but I don't see why we couldn't integrate that along with the other things that we're going to start upbilling for.
and so what sorts of platforms are you putting in place to streamline your process, if not project management?
Uh, Mostly just like how we're doing the feedback loops and the systems that we need to communicate with our client. So, for instance, making sure that we have like pro accounts for the things that we are using. Those are things that we need to
Like
build
what though?
in,
Give
like
me an
a
example of
like Canva and Miro. Like these costs,
okay,
in order for us to have these dynamic interactions, we're trying to build in those costs into the projects because they've been useful for the client, but they cost
right.
us, a great deal.
I'm going to show you one of my invoices. Can you still hear me?
See your mouth moving. Say that again, please. I don't know
Can
what's
you
happening.
can you hear me now?
Yes,
No? Yes? Okay.
yes.
I'm going to show you an invoice, a client invoice. Where are my clients? Oh boy, where's everything right where I don't need it to be? Okay. You guys can see this? Tanisha, can you see this?
Not yet. It's still spinning. Okay, yeah, there it is.
Okay. So this is how I bill the systems into the project itself. So project management and admin is just an add-on. So a lot of companies will do anywhere from like 10 to even 25%. In the marketing world, that's kind of what we charge. But we break it down by digital operations and creative team management. Creative team management is because they know that we're hiring on creatives as we go. And so staff materials, equipment, and management, because they send us materials a lot of times and we have to manage that material, sourcing and scheduling. And so we loop them all into this category, or we break them out as we need to. So different clients, this is United Way, and of course they're nonprofit. So the money's coming from grant money, and they have to report on that money, right? And so they have to have things broken out differently than maybe a corporate client might need to. But either way, it serves the same function, right? And so that's one of the ways in which do you think you guys could pick up something like that, where it's an add-on to, what the line items are?
Yeah, I definitely think so. I don't see any reason why not. Yeah, this is great.
Nice.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I think what we need is take a few steps back, and I keep wanting to reiterate that we are pretty young in this game, so there's a lot I don't
Mm-hmm.
know and a lot I don't know to ask. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm sure there are tons of other things that we could integrate. I just don't even know that they'd be useful.
Yeah, it really is about like that first step I showed you in terms of breaking down your work. That might be really helpful. So you and the team would then just take time, and actually this is in the checklist I'm going to share with you afterwards, to shadow yourself and take time to really track your tasks and understand what that work is, how long it takes you. And then as you all, and you and your team see that and talk about it together, you'll be able to brainstorm ways that you can streamline that. You might find overlaps, right? Maybe there's something that's overlapping between two people or between two functions, right? It'll help you clarify that. And then from that, you can kind of overlay some different ideas of systems. Is it money management? Is it, virtual headquarters or project management? Is it your people operations, your HR sort of thing, like Philip is talking about, your client communications, like you're talking about, right? In your presentation, et cetera. Those are all really critical. So there's a ton of categories, and there's a ton of, options within those categories. Don't feel overwhelmed, right? If you start with the process of what your actual work is and not what the tool is supposed to do, right? It's almost like when you go to food shopping and you have a list of what you need versus when you go and you just kind of walk around the aisles and you're like, oh, harissa, let me make some harissa chicken. Oh, that means I got to go get this. Now you're kind of working backwards, right? Instead of going in with a list and you know exactly what it is and right? How streamlined is that shopping? And of course you're saving money, right? Because you know how much you're supposed to have spent that day versus, oh, I need cilantro. I didn't realize it, right? So that's what that process is really about, sort of shadowing yourself and understanding what the work is, choosing one platform per thing that you need to do, right? Not multiple ones. Sometimes we sort of pack on too much. And then templates, anytime you can build out templates as well. So if you have, especially client communications or team communications, if there's something like that that's repetitive, put it into a one sheet, right? It's just one document that has all the comms related for that thing. I have one here I can show you for my staff team. Let me see where this is. Let me know if you're able to see the screen.
Yes, I can.
Okay. And Phil, please jump in anytime if you want to, please feel free. So this is what we use. It's called the comms document, and it's a template. Sorry, I moved that. So street team comms. This is the communications for the street teams, and this is for the client. So we just make a duplicate of it anytime we need it for a new client, and then change out the content as needed, right? But everything is here. So anyone who comes on board and joins my team knows exactly what to do with it. It tells them copy and paste from here, right? All the information is there. It breaks everything out. They don't have to figure anything out. They just need to replace information that's irrelevant. And then you have another one. So scheduling interviews is all in here as well. Staff onboarding is in here as well. New events, when we have to post new events to our teams and let them know what's coming up. All of them is there just in one place. So anyone who's coming, but I just had a situation. Unfortunately, one of my people, I had a staffing coordinator, and she had an unfortunate death in the family and had to leave. And someone had worked with me off and on for years, but had never done this kind of staff coordinating work for me. but she's just been able to jump in. We didn't even do an onboarding, which I normally would do, but it just kind of happened very rapidly. I'm pretty strict about that. But because we had the rapport, we're feeding her the documents, and she's been able to work ever since. We did no onboarding, no training. Again, we had a rapport, but it's because these things are in place, and because in Basecamp, I can show you what we do is that's not Basecamp. Here's an example. This is just a project space, right? So, and I'm sorry, I went through that kind of quick. So we have media and we have events, right? And then we have other stuff we do. So all the event clients are all under here. This is United. One I showed you is got the project activity all tracked down here. So you can literally see everything everyone did in real time. Any documents or anything that were posted are all there. The calendar's here. You have a chat room, which operates like a Slack. Everyone who's involved can see that when someone posts there. And we use this to post client updates. So if we have a client meeting and we break out everything that happened in that meeting, we put those updates there. So everyone knows where to find that. And this is the sort of main workspace where we actually activate the work. And so we have one of these what they call these cards in Basecamp. And so this card is always here for every project. It's the overview card, and it's really just everything you need to know. And so I'm telling people this is home base project HQ. Project onboarding starts here. Refer back to this to refresh your memory about anything you might need to know. Any primary project folders, tools, documents, and everything is here. Team member contacts are here. Key project updates and affecting the project, et cetera, are all here as well. And so you got your overview, you got a scope there, you got timelines, which changes updates regularly. You got project details, et cetera, like that. Who's on the team, blah, 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 and then the important documents. So this is just one-stop shop so that everyone knows where that is. So this is our way of using their Kanban. Kanbans don't normally have an overview space, which is kind of whack. I think they need one right up top, should say, here's what this thing is for. So we put this here in lieu of that. As projects come in, they come down here, they move into on deck, what's next. It goes into here, goes all the way across until it's done. And people get notified every step of the way. So if someone is if we're doing a creative sprint, for example, a designer might receive this card saying that they're, doing whatever work they're doing, right? When it's ready for review and I'm supposed to review the work that they did, the draft, they put it here. They don't have to say anything to me. They don't have to call me. They don't have to text me. I get an alert that this is up for review. Once it's done and I'm feeling like there's some revisions needs to go back, it needs to go back for another draft, I put it right back into this category. They get the alert and they know this is back on their plate, right? And so we pass it back and forth until it goes into the completed category. And so this allows everyone to work remotely, work asynchronistically, right? Our people are often not working at the exact same time of the day. And so, but once they understand what these sort of points of the process are, then everybody knows kind of how to use it, and it helps to streamline things. There's also a document space within here. I forget where, but where you keep documents, etc. It's got all that kind of thing as well. What do you think?
I think it's great. I'm also curious. I don't think I've ever used Basecamp as the facilitator. I've used it as a client, and so I've seen the client facing side. I'm really curious, I guess, about just the learning curve that it might incur. And I think with anything, Rakeem, it's like, how much is it worth the investment? How much do we lose? And are we at that scale yet? Looking at your clients, looking at Philip's, looking at Courtney's clients, we don't have clients that big that require us to yet go outside of something like Google, which is also a platform that most of our clients have access to already. But I love it, and
I would just want to jump in real quick, Denisha. Like I would say you couldn't not afford to have it. Like when I had clients, I got Basecamp. And when I brought people on board, it was easy for me to collaborate with them. And really that's how we built our whole software is, on a project management system because You can get lost in the sauce. I like to say, like one person doesn't know this person is doing something, and you're relying on emails and Google Sheets and all of those things won't necessarily alert you,
Okay.
or keep your projects, managed that way. But admittedly, I've been like looking at motion this whole time you've been talking because it's that's like a step up from base camp. And like when I'm looking at it, like I can't afford to not like as hard as it will be to leave base camp after like 6 years of being on that platform,
Right.
like it is limiting. Um, but to start off, like I would definitely use somebody's project management tool because it will definitely you'll see the value in it. Like I I don't know how you got 40. You've been on there for longer than me. But I pay $119 a month. And if we didn't have it, our whole team would be lost. Like
Okay.
literally lost.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so
Courtney, you had
you're,
something?
oh, go ahead, go ahead.
I'm sorry, please, Denisha.
I guess I wanted to dig back into something to make sure that I heard it correctly. Because we're working with a lot of consultants and contractors, everything is project based. You were saying that it's pretty seamless to like bring in a novice person who has no clue what we're doing, and they can sort of hit the ground running with minimal oversight and onboarding into a new project. That's for Rasheed.
Yeah, for me, Basecamp is very streamlined. So when I send a Basecamp invite, when I onboard a new person, it literally allows me to put a message into the invitation. I was going to show you, but it probably took a little too long. They alerted me we have about 15 minutes in here. So this is what I put together for them. Just a quick overview. Any kind of videos obviously are more helpful than not, right? And just breaking down and how do I do what in Basecamp. Just a quick notifications. Click your avatar, top right corner. Here's what you do with that. Change your notification settings. Boom, right? So this is just kind of quick one-stop shop on how to use it. And it is very straightforward. It's more straightforward than most of them. Slack is a nightmare to me. This ongoing just conversation is just not productive for me. And I use Google as well. My whole company is run between Google and Basecamp for the most part. Why I'm looking to move out of it is because of just like what Philip is talking about. It lacks any kind of flow. They are hyper compartmentalized. As a matter of fact, Philip, I have a letter I've written to them because I'm pretty upset, to be honest with you. I don't.
I would pray for
It's
them to have integration. If they have integration,
oh,
I wouldn't even move. I wouldn't even be
I would
looking right
never
now.
leave Basecamp.
Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. I would never leave. It's great. But yeah, to your point, Denisha, I would, and so I don't know enough about your work, right? To sort of say, like Philip said, but I would agree with Philip, right? That I don't see how you could even work without it. You can't afford to not have it, is what I would think. But I don't know you'll work that granularly, right? And so I don't want to overestimate. It's not really about the number of clients or the type of client. It's just about, especially if you're project based, every project is going through its own whatever it's going through, right? And so, especially if there are creatives and contractors on each one of those, right? You're managing all of that work. Um, I'm having a hard time even processing how you're even doing that. Do you know what I mean? I know how I was doing it when I was running events, right? And I had several bands to book and blah, 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 and logistics and AV and all this stuff to do in promotions. And I was doing it, just manually. But ever since I've gotten into project management, I just can't even remember how I was doing it. You know what I mean? Because it really does streamline. And then the alerts, like you said, like Philip said, you can get pretty advanced in terms of using any tool without, just to kind of track the work. But the alerts and the real tracking of it is really the critical part of it, right? And so being able to monitor everyone's work and oversee things, for me, building a huge epiphany for me was understanding that and I showed you guys the process, right? So this whole thing, you're going through the whole thing, right? And so there's a lot here. And what I realized is then once this starts, once the pitch is over, and I'm sorry, once this part of the process is over and we're down into the actual creative part of the work, I have to be managed within the project. That was a huge epiphany for me, right? I'm doing everything. I'm over everything, right? And I don't micromanage. I'm not a micromanager, but this is a creative process. I'm the creative director. So if my people are producing something, I have to approve it, right? And so I'm involved in the process very intimately, not in how they do it, but in what they do and their approvals. And so, but once a project starts, and it's only hit me like about 4 or 5 years ago, and I literally sat here, right here in my studio, and just like for 2 days, I just was like, I don't know how I didn't understand this, right? Once the project starts and the team is on, I'm now a part of the team, and my project manager is my boss. I should not be running the team. You know what I mean? But I have to give them the platform that they use to do that, right? And the protocols that they use to do that, and all the documents, tools, et cetera, that they need to do that efficiently. So that's been my process the last several years, is getting that tight so that they would be able to manage me. Because once that starts, I'm lost in the sauce like everybody else is. I'm in the project now. You know what I mean? I have to jump out and put my account manager hat on when I have to deal with the client, but then I have to get right back in the mix. And in terms of like who's doing what when and following up, that's critical for us. It's super critical for us. Again, creatives are very temperamental, and they're like artists. They're artists at heart, right? Essentially. And so, deadlines and, strict business rules that's not really their bag. You know what I'm saying? So they know
that's
how to.
engineers too. Just so you know.
Engineers as well. Exactly. Yes. I know it well. They're the same thing. And so, it's our job to keep them on track. And so if we know, like our event staff, for example, every time there's an event, 2 hours before the event, we send out a text message to the 2 people working and say, hey team, hope you had a great night, looking forward to seeing you later, making sure you're going to be there and on time. Let me know if anything comes up. Let me know when you're on site, right? Just that little step, just that little text message is the nudge that they need, because if they're late, I'm their boss and they don't want to tell me they're going to be late. This is just mental BS that the people go through, right? So, and they're 1099. So keep in mind, I'm not really their boss. We're partners. They're my vendor, right? On paper, they're my vendor. They're not, but this is the dynamic, and this is the way it plays out mentally for folks. And so I just try to get rid of all of that. And I tell them in the beginning, when I'm onboarding them, I say, listen, communication is key here, but these are the protocols that I know to tell people that. You know what I mean? Because it's super critical for us. Please don't look at me like I'm your boss, right? You need to understand that you need to tell me what's going on so we can get this. It's me and you against the client, not you versus me. You know what I mean? And so having those systems in place is what really allows the team to thrive, and allows us to just catch the work, because again, somebody will just show up late or not say that they were late, or say that they were late 5 minutes before the event. We know better. So we just have a text message in place, send the alert. When I don't do it, or the field coordinator doesn't do it and we don't hear from them, we know why. You know what I mean? So those are the kind of little protocols, these tools, et cetera. I got a little more into the protocols and the tools, but this is the kind of stuff that really, if you take the time and break out the work, as this sort of checklist, as I mentioned, I'll send this to you after, of course. This will really help to show and outline where, and this one as well, what was the E-Myth, to really break out your work and understand where it lives and how it operates, will help you to then identify where the gaps might be.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you.
Absolutely. And listen, it's not, you don't, what is the saying? You don't know what you don't know, right? You can't know what you don't know, but you can be aware of what you don't know, right? And this process is, you're already doing that. That's why you're in this cohort with these awesome people, StudioKIN and Blackspace, right? And so that's the whole point. And so, but that's what these tools are for, is to help you be able to see those gaps, those blind spots, and say, oh, you know what? Yeah, every time I do that, this thing comes up. You know what I mean? But when it's in the moment, you just kind of push through it because you got to get the work done, clients, money, time, that, you know what I mean? So you just kind of push through. But you are already taking the time to sort of understand your work, zoom out, take the time to really sit with it, if it's with your team or your own, on your own, either way, to really understand the work more granularly. And it'll reveal itself. It'll reveal where the holes might be. And then you just, you make a plan for how to address it. And you address one thing at a time. You can't do everything every year. A year goes by, you might have put two systems in place. Do you know what I mean? And next year you're like, okay, with those two systems in place, now I see the real gaps. And so now I can see next year, if we can do this thing, we'll be on so much better place. It's just an iterative process. It takes time. It's not like you're going to sit down, figure it all out, get all the apps, and now you're up and running. That's not going to happen.
Yeah.
That's definitely not going to happen. Yeah, it's a process.
And I appreciated that reframing.
Yeah, that's good
I
feedback.
think Courtney had her hand up a while ago. I didn't want to.
She did. I shot her out, but I think she bounced.
No,
All good.
I think
Oh, she's here. Okay. Hey.
I think what you all shared was great. I was just gonna offer this perspective of like getting maybe potentially too much software all at once and trying to upload or like onboard too many systems all at once. Um
Absolutely.
and and then also just, it's a process, and at least for us, like when it was just me and one other person, we would do say a weekly Google Doc with a checklist of tasks, and we would just, have subtasks and things like that. And then moved over to trying to diagram all those things out from our proposal in a Miro board to say, okay, these are the deliverables or the high level tasks, but what are the subtasks to get to this task and then get to that deliverable? And then moving to Monday and trying to put it in Monday, and Monday has a lot of like automations. It has a lot of integrations too. Um, but I struggle when I do like the monthly, I sit down and do like the monthly invoicing and trying to reconcile everything. And we have our staff meetings on Tuesday, and I see that like our weekly board hasn't been updated, right? And so I'm paying for the software, I'm paying for these systems, and folks aren't utilizing them in a way that they ought to be utilized because they're so expensive, right?
Right. Right.
And then as we continue to build the team, adding additional seats, right, to these
Right.
different
Right.
softwares, and again, like seeing those costs go up, and then seeing that folks aren't using the software can be a bit challenging. So um, again, I don't know like if there's like a surefire way to like figure those things out, but like I would even say like even on our end, even with access to like the free version because I teach and being able to use my um university email and getting some of that software and stuff for free.
Nice.
I think the tool is only as good as you use it, and if it's not jiving with the team, then it's not jiving with the team. And I'm not the kind of studio owner that's like, you got to do this and you got to use this tool. And maybe I should be a little more,
Yeah, you probably should.
but they don't use. But Monday has like the capability to like you can set a timer, like you can like track your time real time,
Mm-hmm.
like you can like hit like go and
Mm-hmm.
it'll track your time on a task. There's
Right.
integration where you can like have their time tracking show up in QuickBooks. Like it can
Mm-hmm.
integrate right in with your Google Calendar and your Google email, so it can
Mm-hmm.
like send things to you. You can upload files, all those things, which I think is great. But if it's taking the team longer to do those things than to just do them, um, sometimes I wonder like how much project managing do I need to do? But at the same time, there are times where I feel like I don't know what's going on, or if someone were to like get sick or be off for a week or two, I don't know where they
Right.
landed on things. And so,
Right.
um, yeah, but I don't know, I was just speaking firsthand, like our our team doesn't like Miro for tracking weekly tasks, but then it also feels like maybe I have too many cooks in the kitchen trying to figure out like how to use Monday the best way because I feel like every other month they're coming up with a new way to like manage their projects, but for the project managers and how they want to do it. So I think
Hmm.
there's definitely a delicate balance in between all that's been shared, I think.
It really, really is. And thank you so much for that. That's a great way to you're getting into the real time sort of nuts and bolts of where where these things fall. Um, Absolutely. So notice in here the check mark here is to choose one platform, right? You can only try one at a time. There is Denisha, you mentioned earlier the learning curve. There's a learning curve with every one of these. I hesitated for 2 weeks before I tried Motion. I found it, researched it, and when I was ready to try it, I waited for 2 weeks because I said, "Are you just jumping into the next shiny thing?" Right? Oh, all right, we're about to get moved out. Looks like we're going to get pushed
Oh,
out of here. But yes, to your point, Courtney, absolutely. You do want to put your project manager should not be designing how projects work. That's you guys' job to tell them that and to give them the tool to do it. And they have to use it. At the end of the day, they have to use a tool that you guys set up because if they don't, then like you said, when somebody's out for a week or you need to check in on a project, you can't really check in on a project. And that's pretty critical. So, but at the same time, you do have to find a tool that everyone likes to use or will use. But it's like 70-30, right? You don't have to love the tool, but this is your job. You got to use it. You know what I mean? When I was first introduced to Basecamp, it was through a marketing company who was using it, and I didn't like using it, to be
I
honest
didn't
with you.
like it either.
Right. Yeah.
Me as I do this again.
How are you doing?
Good, good. Doing well.
Mm,
Peace, Kent.
How are you? Sorry, I just
Good,
finished
good.
eating.
That's all right. Late in the day. I'm gonna give it another moment, see if anyone else comes.
It's just us in this one.
Oh,
Don't
is it?
say, don't,
Okay,
we don't
cool.
need that just. Not just like that, but like a good just. Like, oh, it's just us.
That's funny. Well, welcome, welcome. Um, Tell me a little bit about I read your profiles, but tell me a little bit about your business. And if you could tell me a little bit about one of your systems or operations that you feel like you're having challenges with.
You want me to go to first this time, Britt? I knew it. So I'll keep it brief a little bit, I guess. But basically, early last year, I co-founded a community storytelling and exhibition design studio. It was kind of born out of a desire to close the gap between um, like the community research and storytelling that was taking place to like create these very long-term plans and
Mm,
the make those stories more tangible. And more accessible. And so I guess the best example I could give is we just opened and closed our first exhibition with Black community doulas in Newark, New Jersey. And
Congrats.
that's kind of a creative approach. Oh, thanks. I think you said something. But that was,
Congratulations.
thank you. This really creative approach to pushing forward advocacy and funding for doulas. They don't
Okay.
get money. But it
Right.
was really a lot of like partnership, not just on the community side, but bridging the gap between them and funders and policymakers in the space. And as far as like the operationalization of our studio, we don't have a lot of operations. I think because we're so small, we're like in this very like gray space.
Hmm.
We're just operating off of what we know how to do and what we have the capacity to do. Um,
Hmm.
but in the last conversation, we talked about something that I think is going to be super valuable for us, which is forecasting. Um,
Hmm.
as we desire to kind of scale in a way that allows us, gives us more capacity and like uh doesn't stretch us too thin.
Yeah.
But we associating the numbers with that, not just like the manpower. So, how can we do that? And how can we just create a more sustainable business model for ourselves? Um, Blackspace has been super helpful in helping us kind of think about that.
Good, good. And let me ask you this, how do you make money? What is the actual revenue source?
Yeah, I think that has been like, we don't have like a constant revenue stream. It's definitely project based. Um,
Hmm.
and so we are really sustaining ourselves off of like our business development process is like what RFPs are out there looking for creative approaches to community engagement or to
Okay.
institutional storytelling. Um,
Hmm.
and so right now, I would say those projects are in the one to $200,000 budget space. But
Hmm.
what we know is to do the work that we want to do and do it well. Like if the output is an exhibition, it the budget has to be like more than that for us. Um, I think our budget would be between like the two to $450,000 budget.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
and so yeah, I think we're really just in a space where we're like trying to refine our business development process because the just the gap between like okay we know about an opportunity and then the actual like contract it seems like 3 to 4 months maybe
Hmm.
and so yeah it's just like a lot of juggling a lot of stuff at the same time like hoping something works out.
Yep. Believe me, I know. Definitely know.
Hmm.
And I guess I'm just realizing I didn't tell you guys about my own business, and I will once I hear from our friend here. But oh, so you didn't actually answer my question though.
Oh, what was it? I
How do you
thought
make
I
money on those
did.
projects?
You said the
No, how do
revenue?
you make money on the projects?
We make money because we're awarded contracts off of the art. So like the contract budget is that for us, and then whatever we don't spend is the money we keep. To like
Got
whatever
it.
we don't spend to create the work is our revenue.
Got it. All right. And all right, something came to mind, but yeah, I'll skip that. Britt, tell me about your business.
All right. So I started Ubuntu Planning Studio a little over a year ago. It's a community-focused urban planning studio. So we do work with like municipalities and developers when it comes to urban planning projects, but our primary focus is grassroots organizations, helping them cultivate the skills and expertise that they need to take ownership of of their community, the built environment. So leading planning projects we lead the planning projects with the goal of empowering the community to have ownership. So in addition to like technical expertise that we provide and like land use and that sort of thing, we also
Hmm.
um, provide like training and education for community members so they can increase their capacity to, lead those projects.
That's
Um,
great.
as far as operations, I'm like, oof, I'm learning
Operations
so much
or biz
about.
dev.
What'd you
Hmm.
say?
As operations or biz dev, whichever is more challenging, I suppose.
So I guess operations, because I feel like I have a lot of homework already with biz dev from our last call. So maybe I could spend one day doing that homework and then some operations
Sure.
later. So I guess one thing that I'm like trying to figure out now is project coordination. So like I have
Hmm.
my first major project and it's a multi-firm team. And
Congratulations.
thank you. So identifying how to maybe standardize things. So I'm not creating like completely new documents and like workflows every time I'm on a new
Yeah.
like consultant team.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then also I am an introvert and like an older millennial, so like social media is a weakness. I know that's like
Yeah.
there are higher priorities when it comes to operations, but I feel like that's a really weak muscle. Like I know how to like I've done social media for other organizations. Like I know how to do it. I know graphic design. I know how to schedule, but my where I struggle is identifying for my business like what do we need to create, like what is a content that we need to create that's authentic and not just like
Hmm.
trying to sell things.
Right. Understood. All right. Thank you all for sharing that. I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself and indie life and sort of jump into some of what you all mentioned, right? So my company is a hybrid event production and media production company. So we do full service on both. And on the event side, we also do event staffing. And I have this space, the studio space here in West Philly. So it's a small event space. Um, and I got into this work. I was an MC and a poet. And so I got into doing events when I was like 18 years old. Literally somebody was like, you guys should do a show. And I was like, yeah, we should do a show. And like literally my whole life from then, I'm 47. Um, so I got, after a few years, I was doing shows and the city was incredibly popping at the time. I don't know if you know about the Black Lily or the Neo Soul movement in Philadelphia, but I was sort of a part of that, right? Or came up in that. And so that involved a lot of artists, a lot of just booking shows and doing all of that. Next thing I knew, I was doing club promotions. Next thing I knew, I was working with branding agencies as a field coordinator and doing doing tour management gigs for everything for TD Bank to T-Mobile to Cadillac, Pepsi, et cetera. I did that for like 17 years. And so between doing the entertainment stuff and working with artists and doing the branding work I was doing, it really kind of helped me form my first marketing company. This is my second marketing company. The staffing component took off from that first one. And the rest of indie life is really kind of like what the first company was really supposed to be, right? And so this company now is 10 years old. And it's only in the last like few years that I really feel like I'm on a streamline. Not everything is streamlined, but meaning like I'm on a trajectory to solving those big problems that like what you all are talking about, right? Running events is obviously like a million components, right, that have to come together in one moment. And so there's a lot there to do. You're managing people, you're managing vendors, you're managing everything, the weather. And so how do you streamline all of that, right? So that's what a lot of my work has been. And the unique thing about Indie Life, I should share my screen and show you my pages. 1 second. All right, can y'all see my screen?
Yep.
Yep. Yep.
Okay, cool. And you know, y'all don't have to mute yourselves. I want y'all to jump in whenever you got something to say. So don't mute yourself.
I have
um,
kids right outside my window screaming. So
And
oh,
we
we can't. I don't.
we definitely talked.
Here is my. I have two different sites. I have one for events and one for the media work. So this is the. We're kind of slow because I'm on streaming. Yeah, this is the media site. And basically, it's broken down to whether you're a creative and want to become a member, or you're a client and you're looking to get a project done. And so what we do is we have about 350 creatives across all the disciplines, and we bring them into our ecosystem. And as projects come in, we recruit a team, build a team, and then execute, basically. So I have an additional process in my creative work than most people do, where I have to recruit and build a team. And so obviously streamlining that for the timeline of my clients and my own is a lot to do. And so figuring that out has been quite a bit. But I've gotten it down and I'm very happy with it for the most part. And it has a lot to do with like the understanding the work itself, and also understanding and breaking it out very granularly to understand where are the hats that I can take off, what are the jobs or what are the duties that I don't have to do, right? And so how do I onboard the right person to the right task using the right tools, right? That's all the trip. And so the site, let's go to the site. Excuse me. Here's some of our event work. We've been doing staffing for the waterfront in Philly for the last 12 plus years. Well, for about 12 years until the pandemic happened. And Center City District, who runs Center City here in Philly, also is a client. So essentially running all of this, because the sort of our biggest strength was our biggest problem as well, because we didn't know how to position ourselves. We did too much and we actually did everything pretty well. We had a lot of great clients who loved the work we did, but it wasn't sort of leveraging itself directly into the next thing because we did so many things. People didn't quite know where to put us. And so it was really a lot of work to figure out the positioning of how exactly to say we do everything, right? Because you don't do everything. And so that was a lot of the work, but a lot of it came down to, on my end, this chart right here. Have you heard of the book called The E-Myth? Letter E, Myth, right here in the corner.
I have not.
I highly, highly, highly suggest it. Highly suggest it. Very easy read. It's hardly even a business book, but it's been on the business bestseller list since the 80s when it came out. And basically, it's a story of someone who started a business and found themselves sort of trapped in their business because they sort of created a job for themselves, essentially, right? Because they didn't have systems in place to bring people in when it was time, to streamline the work that they were doing, and to be able to offload things when they needed to. And so the book is really just this, it's very real because you experience it, right? And so you're just kind of listening. It's a baker who they're talking to. So basically they have them break down the work that they do just literally minute by minute, right? And it's meant to go into these categories of which of these personalities or hats are you actually wearing when you're working. So you're either your entrepreneur hat, right? You're the CEO, you're looking at the long term, you're looking at partnerships, you're building up the work and the platforms that your managers are going to work into, right? Or you're the manager, right? And you're dealing with the day-to-day, you're supervising whatever's happening here, or you're actually doing the actual work that the company does, right? Whether you're like filming that day, or you're planning an event that day, or you're meeting with a client. Those are those things, right? And so is it strategic work or is it technical work, right? Are you defining results or are you producing those results? And which personality are you doing at any given time? So this chart really helped me to, categorize the work and say, oh, here's where I'm being an entrepreneur. Here's where I'm being the manager. Here's where I'm being a technician. And what type of work is that? And so just because I had been doing it for years and I had done it professionally for years, right? So I had no real thought that I needed to even streamline or figure
Can
out
you
what
give
the
me an
work was. I
example
thought I knew the work. Sure. Of what exactly?
of like an activity that like how you would fill out this line?
Sure. So it might be something like emailing new clients, right? Or researching potential clients, right? Researching competition. That's all CEO kind of stuff. If you are planning out your week and you're saying, okay, it's Monday, I have these things to do and I'm going to do them at these times, that's a manager. That's a managerial type of a job, right? If you make watches and you're literally tinkering around with a watch, then that's your technician hat, right? Those are how they kind of break out. And when you start seeing them, you start to realize where they belong. And then you start to realize which ones you really don't like to do. And you start to realize which ones you really don't want to do. Like you mentioned, right? And I appreciate you saying that you're an introvert. That's important. Your personality goes into your work, so you should know that. And so as much as you can do that and you don't mind doing it for other people, maybe doing it for yourself feels like it's putting you on Front Street. And maybe you don't want to be on Front Street. So there's a bit of a resistance there that you're just like, you know what I mean? And so within your own company, somebody else should maybe be doing that. You know what I mean? If it's important. If it's really important, you need social media. If social media is important for your business, then somebody should be doing it, and maybe it shouldn't be you. You know what I mean? For myself, I came to realize that once a project starts, because I'm in everything, right? And so, you know, let's say we're, I don't know, I got a trail mix company I'm working for, right? And we have to do a branding for their new trail mix. So, when I got the referral for the client, I'm wearing my CEO hat, right? I'm doing account management, and biz dev, right? And so I'm talking with them. I'm researching the company. I'm figuring out what they need, what they might need. The referral gave me some information. I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to write to say the right thing, what presentation information I'm going to send to them, so they want to bite. All of that is my biz dev process. And then let's say they go for it and we actually start. And now I have to, like I said, I have to build my team, which a lot of creatives don't need to do, or agencies don't need to do. I build my team and then we actually start the work, right? The epiphany I had a few years ago is that once we start the work, I'm now in the project and I need to be managed in the project. I should not be managing my own projects. I'm a great project manager. I wouldn't be able to do, right? As a tour manager, I wouldn't be able to do that without project management skills. But when we're working and it's in my company, I should not have my hand on that wheel, because there's a lot of little things that have to go on that I'm off doing 10 other things. You know what I mean? So somebody needs to manage me within the project, which means all of a sudden my project manager becomes my boss once we start working, right? My project manager is saying to me, this is due in a week, but I haven't seen the one update. You're going to need to get on that. And I'm like, oh, you know what? Thank you. I need to be on top of that, right? Or our designer has something due in 2 days, but we were supposed to see an update yesterday. We didn't see that. If I'm not able to follow up with that person and sort of give them that nudge, it's just a nudge. Just a nudge is enough to get the work going, or find out that that person has a hiccup, right? There's a lot of mentality that goes into the work, and these people work for me, even though they're contractors, right? So they see me as a boss. They don't want to disappoint me. They don't want to tell me something's wrong. And so I have to fight with that a lot of times. I'm like, listen, do not worry about that. Communicate. If you communicate, we can manage all of this. I can tell the client we need more time. I can delay the deadline. I can do I can even work a miracle if I need to, if I know what's going on. You know what I mean? If I have no idea what's happening, then I can't do that. But this is where my PM is really critical. So, and it's the same thing on the staffing side. My field coordinator is kind of like a project manager of what's going on with the staff in the field. And if they're there, everything is running smoothly, right? I get to be the CEO. I get to manage other things because I'm managing other things. They're managing that project, right? I'm managing the company. So I still have to sometimes wear my manager hat, but I'm not within that project doing that. And so I'll show you what I did for myself a few years ago. And I keep streamlining this and updating it as I need to, but it's pretty solid. I built this in Miro, and it's just a breakout of the entire process on the creative side. I have a different one for the event side. And so this is the biz dev process. You know, it just breaks down what's going on from initial discovery to the project research to the pitch and proposal. And each step within here has a breakdown of what's going on here. Client meetings, finalizing services and strategy, generate the project budgets, generating the project estimates, generating project proposals and the contracts. All of that is all within that step, right? And so once you move over, you get the pitch, right? And there's a yes. Then now I'm starting client onboarding, which means I have to tell my client how to work with me. This is really critical, especially in the creative and event spaces, and so many spaces where you have projects, clients and contractors, especially. Everybody needs to know what to expect on the project. If they don't know, for example, you said the deadline was Friday, but we have to have your assets by Tuesday in order to turn that around to give you the first draft by Thursday and have the final by Friday. If they don't know that we have a 2-day turnaround on asset delivery, then they might wait till Wednesday, and now we don't have it done till Monday. You know what I mean? So letting the client know what to expect when they start the project is really important as well. And we have a document that just kind of breaks all that out for them, right? We make them bring their team. That's the other thing. You might be dealing with one person at a company, or your client, right? But they have people above them or around them that they have to deal with. And so if those people are important to the process, they need to be in here with us, right? You're not going to go pass some messages after the event, after the meeting and came back, blah, blah, blah. No, bring everybody in. Everybody's at the table. Everybody's hearing all the same information and walking away with the same information as well. That's more of the sprint concept. But then you get into here, and this is where I had my epiphany that once this starts, I'm out. I am out. So my project managers writing the briefs to recruit the people. They are creating a short list and reviewing who's applying, right? And giving me a short list of definitely not that person, but maybe these two, right? So I take that list, I go through my work, and then I give it back to them. They schedule an interview. Great, right? I'm not literally scheduling interviews, right? Oh, not this day. Oh, I thought you said, oh, right? I don't have to do that, right? That's a nightmare for me. But then once it comes back to my plate, it's done. They're onboarded. They're hired. I'm interviewing, right? And that's the wrap. Then once we start here, I'm in the project, and now I have a boss all of a sudden. And my project manager is right here in the center for that very reason, right? They are the most important person once that gets started. And this is really just breaking down the iterations of the draft approvals and all that. Pretty
This
straightforward
is
stuff.
super
But then
helpful.
please go ahead.
I was gonna say, like, even before you opened this and you were talking about the importance of a project manager, because what I find is that I, along with my co-founder, we float between all three of those spaces. Um,
Yep.
we are like the leadership, we are the manager, we are the I usually think about it as like hands and mind and like somewhere in between. And I'm like, we're literally all
Right.
of these things. And so I think the tension that we've come across is this idea that because we know how to do the work, we know how to manage the work too. And like managing the work, I managed the last project that we did, and that in and of itself is a 40 plus out can be a 40 plus hour job because
Right.
you're
Right.
managing so much and doing the work. And so I'm curious, like, I don't know if you've had to advocate for a project manager on your team or if you just said we need a project manager and so it happened. But like I am in a space where I'm really wanting, I'm like, if we were to hire anyone on the team, it's a project manager. And how you kind of find alignment there.
I would really go back to defining the work, right? Shadowing yourself because, and maybe, so what I think I'm hearing is that your partner might not be totally on board with that hire,
Mm-hmm.
or feels like maybe you guys can do everything yourselves, right? Or
Mm-hmm.
continue to do everything yourselves. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think if you, when you can show them line by line like that, like
Mm-hmm.
here's where we bumped heads last time. Here's where we were both doing the same job last time. Here's where I was doing a job that I'm probably not the best at. You know what I mean? I can do it if it's for somebody else. Like you said, it's a 40-hour week job. That's a full-time job. So you're not supposed to be doing that in something else,
Yeah.
right? You're supposed to be just doing that. And so just that alone is should be the real sort of nail in the coffin of like, this has got to happen. I'm, and again, I'm telling you, it's only a few years ago. I've been doing this all my life. And it just hit me that like, you have to be managed within your project. Because like you said, it is that much time. And so, yeah, I think maybe build the case for yourself and make it real clear so that when you present it, it's not really going to be a question. It's going to be like, oh, snap, I didn't, because it's very natural. That's the way you're supposed to get started, right?
Yeah.
Everybody's supposed to be all hands on deck.
Mm-hmm.
So, but the thing is, what's that saying? What got you there, what got you here may not get you there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. And so just like there's iterations of products, like you have every, 3.0 phone, 5.0 phone, 12.1, you should have iterations in your business as well. And so it sounds like you're sure that you just started out, you're in 1.1, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or 1.0 really. At some point though, when you start to be able to zoom out and you get some of those tools in place, like you said, to be able to like streamline and project, your estimate what your year might look like and what the work would look like, and how to find that work and test if that's really working, you'll be able to zoom out a bit more and see. And you can do it proactively, especially if you have some time in between projects. That might be a real blessing right now that you can take that time to proactively say, well, what if we landed that one RFP we didn't get? Like literally
Yeah.
just plan it out like you were going to do it. You know what I mean? We didn't get it. That's fine, but we know what's entailed. What would that look like on paper? You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Who's supposed to be doing what? And that one might look like that might really help to show you what where the bottlenecks might come in. And those bottlenecks cost money
Yeah.
besides the stress. And that's the part that really like for me. So when I grew up, I was a skateboarder, right? And there's this thing in skating where if you can, the wheels are this big, right? They're really small. And so you can run into like a boulder or something like hit a tree or something like that and it'll be fine. You can hit a pebble that is the tiniest shard of a pebble and it will send you flying off of that skateboard. Okay.
Yeah.
And it happened to me several times. Um, and that to me is what it feels like. Operational challenges, they bother me worse than money challenges personally. I mean, it just irks my whole soul. Okay.
Hmm.
Cause I'm like, it didn't have to be like that.
Right.
You know what I
Right.
mean? And it's like if we had just, and you can't get it right every time. You gotta give yourself some grace. It's all good. But for me, it just really tweaks me the wrong way when we don't get things. And it's like, look, it's just not that deep. You know what I mean? It didn't have to be that. So it really kind of pushed me to be like, okay, how are we gonna, and I have a problem in my company, like I said, that we do too much. And
Hmm.
so positioning that was really critical. And I just recently reshaped all of my services, my service offerings, and so into sort of this sort of 4 point strategy. And I'm very excited about it. As soon as I finished it, I got a client for it. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And so it clearly works. It's right on time. Um, and I know, but again, this company's 10 years old. You know what I'm saying? And my work has been longer than that even. And so coming to that point took quite some time and some clarity and a lot of hard work, a lot of iterations. But the tools we use are really, really important. This is our Basecamp. Do you use Basecamp or Asana or any kind of Trello, Monday,
That's a
anything like that?
great point you're making, which is if we don't have a project manager, what are the tools we're using to manage our projects? And
There you
we're
go.
really creating our own tools to manage it, which is working and of it.
Hmm.
It's like doing more work. Um, I think we've really just used like the um that G Suite and then like
Hmm.
Figma to kind of create our own frameworks. But then I feel
Okay.
like I'm creating a new wheel every time because every project is different. But
Right.
I think like, okay, I think that the negotiation is like if we don't have a project manager, we need a project management software.
Yeah. Yeah. Gotta get managed somehow, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Britt, what are you using?
Um, so this is my first project. I kind of wanted to show you this,
Sure. Let
but
me kill my screen so you can share.
let me see here. So I've been using Excel or Google
Hmm.
Sheets.
Hmm.
And this is like my first that's like my first project. Um, I'm on a project team and I'm not the project manager. And also can't this stays in this room, okay?
For sure.
I'm not the project manager, but in our like first two meetings, it became clear that like the leads don't really have project management experience. And like, so I've had to maybe take more initiative than I wanted to because I'm not getting paid as the project manager to come up with this kind of stuff. Anyway,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
so I
I've been
came
there.
up. I came up with this. How do I do this? And this was kind of like a external client facing document
Mm-hmm.
to capture like the different project phases and key
Mm-hmm.
deliverables.
Nice. That's great.
Um, and I was told like this isn't what we need. I'm like, but I felt like this is like correct
They
me
said
if
they didn't need it. Why would they say that?
I don't I so
That
I
looks
think it's just different
essential.
norms when it comes to project management. That's what I think is happening because they're just like we want it
Right.
to be organic. Like you can like I think there's a misconception that like if you have structure, you can't be organic, but I think that if you have structure, it may allow you to be organic. Like if you don't have structure,
Hallelujah.
you might be
You're speaking my
fumbling,
language.
fumbling to do stuff. So I'm like I don't want to drop the ball on my first project. And then I created this because there's four different firms. Sorry, this
Mm-hmm.
is small.
Yeah.
Um,
I can see it.
like having alignment. So like this could be like
Mm-hmm.
this is like phase one, and this was my first stab at like, hey, we can have an internal coordination document. Why, when we have our weekly meetings, let's talk about like what we're doing, and then plug in like how there's alignment. So I don't have
Absolutely.
much experience with like Asana or Trello, but I've been using Google Sheets because that was like what
Yeah.
everyone felt comfortable using.
Yep. That's a really important part too. Whatever tools you use, people have to actually use them. You know what I mean?
Right.
Someone mentioned this in the last group that you can, pay this money and add all these users and set everything up, and if people don't use it, it's kind of a waste. You know what I mean? So yeah, I mean, I think that's great. That's absolutely great. And even if you only get to use it internally for yourself, and it'll still help you interject, at certain times what's supposed to be happening,
Mhm.
and hopefully they'll pick it up. That's a tough situation, so
Yeah.
hang
Well,
in
I
there.
mean, I think even like for me, I have three people that are like my contractors, and I needed
Okay,
to provide them with guidance and like
for
highlight
them, right?
like, what the big picture is, even though like we're not in charge of all the deliverables, like they need to be able to see like how our work is fitting together. Um,
Absolutely. Yep.
I
I
could
I always
appreciate
tell people,
that.
think about your last job. Think about the last job you walked into, and the fact that you didn't have to think about where checks came from. You didn't have to think about HR. You didn't have to think about your taxes. You didn't have to think about what platform, if they use Dell computers or they use HP computers. You didn't have to think about the office furniture. You didn't have to think about any of that. You literally walked into your position so you could just do what you were hired to do. And as the owner of your company, everybody you bring in has that expectation. Even if they don't say that, I don't care how much they think they're being organic and they want to flow and blah, blah, blah. People have an employee mindset because that's where we work. We work as employees. And so it's not a negative thing. It's not a judgment. It's just about that's what we're used to. And we don't know how much more is around the work that we do because you just show up and do your work and go home and complain. You know what I'm saying? About what's not right. As soon as you have to do all that yourself, you're like, oh, you know, it's I'm doing everything. You know what I'm saying? And so that's where putting the work out for folks, making sure it's clear, is really really important because they will do it like you said. If the structure is there, you get to play all day. If there's no structure, you're playing with structure.
Mhm.
So where's the scaffold? Where how you know what I mean? That ain't it. That's not where to play around. You play around with the structure is we meet every morning and we go through the week, right? On my team, Basecamp has a feature where it's an automatic check-in. I can set it for whatever time. And the protocol here is the PM, the admin assistant, and the field coordinator. We meet every Monday. And my Monday is my day off, right? Because in my world, we work weekends and holidays. And so Monday's a day to chill. But I have to have my team working while I'm chilling. So on Mondays, and I've tried to skip this and it just doesn't work. Try to skip it, it just doesn't work. So every Monday, they get an alert directly from Basecamp that says, "What are you going to work on this week?" Um, they write that out. They have to turn that in by 9:30 or 10. It gives me some time to sit with it, understand what they think they're going to do that week, and then we meet. And then I can break out, or if I can skip the meeting, I can just do directly in Basecamp and say, "Don't do this, do that." 1 through 3 was great, but don't do 4 and 5. Something else came up. I want you to work on this other thing. You know what I mean? It gives me a chance to set them up for the week so that they're ready to go and they're already cracking. If that happens, I can then chill the rest of the day. You know what I mean? But then once I do my internal team, Monday's also the day that I do client projects and da da da. So that's really up until like 2 o'clock. I'm kind of dealing with meetings and just getting everybody else. It's really to get everybody else set up for the week, honestly, is what that's for. But having those in place, that's what they know to do. You know what I mean? And now, Kent, you're in a different situation, right? Because you are building them as you go, essentially. And so, like you said, every project is going to be a little different. And I was in the same boat. I can't say the same boat, but I don't know specifically how it works for you. For me, it was, I mean, let me show you really quickly what oh, I had it open. Okay, so this is my capabilities deck. Oh, you can't see my screen. Wait, sorry. All right, can y'all see that?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So this is our cake deck. Essentially just breaks down all of what we do. So festivals, conferences, performances, visual artists, da da da, all of that, right? So to your point, Ken, when my partner, used to ask me about like sales projections, I used to be like, how could I possibly know, right? If somebody steps up and they want a festival for next year, that's 6 months of lead time and then 3 months of planning. You know what I mean? Is it a $20,000 event? Is it a $100,000 event? I have no idea what's coming down the pipeline. You know what I mean? And so how can I plan for that? So, and you can see the variety of these. This is, 10,000 people at Juneteenth. This is 500 people at 2-day conference, trade conference. This is a executive retreat, family retreat, so super private. I don't even have real photos of the event because we couldn't take photos. That took place in 3 cities at the same time. TGI Fridays promotion at they did a rap battle. So I'm booking talent, I'm booking DJs and doing venue stuff. Carlsberg, this is a whole full program. This is like a full integration program, market integration program. So I'm only making a point that like, even though I can break down the process of most things into this, I don't know what the project's going to look like. You know what I mean? Each time. And so what am I supposed to do with that? For me, the answer was positioning. Again, I don't know if this is directly related to how you're working. So it may not be a one-to-one translation.
No, I think
I have a new, no, go ahead,
the
please.
positioning conversation is I feel like at a moment of evolving our positioning because I think like we're like, oh, we know how to do a lot of things and do a lot of things really well. And like you said, people don't know what to do with that. And we don't necessarily want to take away our capabilities, but I think that it's more of a reframing of them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep, that's exactly it. It's about reframing. And believe me, I can hear it in your voice. It leaves something in the pit of your stomach when you're thinking about like, I'm not going to tell these people that we do this. You know what I'm saying? Like you need to know we do all this shit too. And that hurts. But the positioning and the framing is really what it is, right? So it's almost like taking a project and just breaking it into phases, right? Phase 1 is the introduction. That's the meeting, right? This is just the boom. Who are you? That's where you give the positioning. You know what I mean? If they go for the positioning, now you got a conversation to have. Now you can layer it all. You know what I mean? Oh, you need that too? We do that too. Oh, you need that too? We do that too. You know what I mean? but you
Hmm.
have to have the reserve to be like, don't say all that shit at once.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Don't oversell
And
yourself.
so don't oversell. You know what I mean? Don't oversell. Especially keep this in mind from a marketing standpoint. We live here now,
Hmm.
right? So people not hearing half of what you said. They're not ingesting half of what you said. So spoon feeding is really critical. I mean, it's really critical.
Yeah.
Um, so for me, it was these staffing packages. That was what this is like a huge, huge revelation in my company. Um, to say to people, I know you sometimes you need just a couple people for a couple days, and this costs you this much, and here's what you get for that. I also know that if it's a bigger pop up, this is for a very specific category. I also know if it's a multi-day tour or you're in town, like that TJI Fridays gig, that was in town for 3 days. You need people just for those 3 days, right? So I know the client well enough to say, here's what that looks like. Um, where's the other one? Oh, and then able to break out. Here's what it was. I broke it into campaign packages and experiential packages.
Mm.
Experiential is more of your pop-up situation, right? Campaign is obviously the more of the ongoing thing. Um, and then breaking this down for them. What type of client is looking for one type of package to simplify it for them. And this right here, oh, Kent. This page right here is the answer to the whole thing, right? If I'm talking to you about staffing, you're not talking to me about creative. You don't even know I do creative. I have two different websites. You know what I'm saying? And vice versa. But name me an event that doesn't have creative graphic design built all into it, right?
Right.
So, or videography essentially built all into it. So once you're going through, you're talking to me about staffing. This is somebody looking at this on their own. And you get to this and you say, oh, if I need somebody to bring it, right? We were going to hire a photographer. Oh, we were going to do some social media, but our person left. Oh, we need a landing page. You guys can do a little website for us?
Hmm.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's
Now we locked it
funny.
in.
I was actually working on I'll can I share my screen really quick and just show
Please.
you? I was working on this earlier today. Because we are, like I said, working on our positioning and
Mm-hmm.
branding in general. And those kind of packages is what I've been thinking through. So
Nice.
it's still a work in progress, but where I've landed right now is kind of like these three tiers. The third one's up here. I'll explain why. But the primary is kind of like the anchor of like this is what we do. Like this is
Mm-hmm.
what we're known for, which is like the narrative strategy, community research and co-creation, exhibition and spatial design, and then kind of like that engagement strategy. I would say the add-on would be these things, kind of what multiplies the work being done up here, which is like toolkits and frameworks that are created as a result of this kind of community research and co-creation. What
Right.
kind of programming is happening as a result of this like strategic planning, or like that can happen in these exhibition spaces.
Right.
And then we're actually, since we've completed the last project, the last exhibition, now there's this conversation of, well, how can we expand access to this physical experience by creating a digital catalog? So like that's
Mm-hmm.
the secondary, but then we're like, okay, we do know that there these things are like high level of investment. And so, what are some gateways that get people through the door that are like a lower barrier to entry, um, both financially and just like invisibility? Um,
Right.
and so I'm working, this is the area that I'm working on that I feel like you just walked through, like what that looks like for you.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of like your add-ons, but like
Yeah.
it's like a different positioning for me a little bit. And so right now I'm thinking about like for each of these primary anchors, what is a gateway that like we can meet people at that leads them into this bigger thing. So
Absolutely. I love this. This is great. This is great. I'm like super proud of both of y'all. Oh, we getting pushed out. Well, I'm really proud of you. I love what you're doing on the PM tip. I love what you're doing on the plan on the lead positioning. You guys are in a really good position. So
Thank you
keep that
so
moving.
much
And I'm gonna
for your
share what I have
wisdom.
with you afterwards as well. Absolutely. Much love.
All right. Let me go to the main room.
I'm so sorry.
No,
I
that's
accidentally hit the button and I didn't know it was happening.
Ken, I appreciate you sharing that. That was really helpful. Even though like you were sharing it for,
No, yeah. And
Yeah.
also, thank you so much.
I meant to
I
show that to my
didn't know
crew
what I
before
was
I left.
doing.
Sorry. That's my
Oh,
baby.
Oh
Everybody is.
no.
My
So
baby.
worth
Whose
getting up
baby is
at
this?
3 a.m. So worth it.
So cute.
Oh my gosh.
Whose baby is that?
That's my
I
my
love
baby,
that.
my partner and I's baby. That's our baby.
Oh, that's a cute.
7 weeks.
That's what's
7
up.
weeks.
Yeah,
Congratulations, y'all.
Thank
thank
you.
you. Thank you so much to all the facilitators tonight. This was
Yes.
so,
Round
so
of
helpful.
applause. Where's my little reaction?
I know, I was looking for that too.
I know. Like, I gotta give it up.
And thanks for everyone for bringing like real energy and like good vibes. Like facilitation is a full contact sport. Like we all are in here. So thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
wow.
Really good. Really, really good.
I also want to just thank you all for coming and showing up today. Again, everybody's emails will be shared. You have access to one another. I think there was such good conversation happening all around. I was taking note of like all the links that were shared in each breakout room. So I'll follow up tomorrow and just share all of those things. And I just want to close out, I guess, like, how we usually do, one word or phrase. How we feeling? You'd like that, Sophie. I see ya. One word or phrase or something that you took away from today's session, I think would be really valuable.
I'm hopeful, less stress. Like, there's a future.
That's awesome. Nice.
That's a good word, Sophie. I wish I could take it, but I don't have a word. I would also just say that I think just like the world of finances can just be so overwhelming, especially when you're not just thinking about it from like a personal perspective, and it has to be considerate of this ecosystem of like partners. And I think talking to the three of you just helped to lighten the load. Um, it was refreshing to have this kind of perspective on money.
I
Your
felt
word is
really big. Oh,
refreshing.
sorry. Go ahead.
Your word is refreshing, Kent. That's your word.
Refreshing.
I will feel. I say I feel affirmed. I think just one extra sentence was to say that, like, as a small business owner, that it's gone well. Also, it's still every year you have to make revenue happen again. It's like, and here we go again. Um, I always feel like I'm still trying to push the ball up the hill, but it's nice to feel like a little more community about that. So thank you for doing that today.
My one word is workbook. I want all of this as a workbook that I can keep referring back to and changing and, erasing.
Nice.
I'll say it's like I feel mind blown, but like in a really good way. And like I think the information, like the wealth of knowledge that you have, well, all three of you, and the ability to synthesize it in a way that's like so digestible. And these are like super heady, well, often heady concepts that people, I mean, it sounds like super complex. And yeah, what you all did was like so helpful. And I can't believe I feel like I've wasted all this time on YouTube videos and stuff that didn't really help. And then I was on the call with you, and like in 5 minutes, you said something in 5 minutes that's like priceless. So thank you.
Yeah, I would say I feel informed. I found a new software tonight that I'm really, really, really probably seriously going to implement. So that information, I believe, will move the needle on our productivity. And just all of the sessions tonight were just really good. So I feel informed.
Philip, what was that software you're excited about?
It's called Motion. So it's usemotion.com. And it's a project management tool. I've been using Basecamp for years. And Rasheed as well. And he's finally looking at something different. And it's so hard to move like software, but we have to automate our business because I don't want to grow. I don't want to have to grow payroll. I'd rather grow software. And we were talking about the price and the jump in price from Basecamp and the familiarity, but you know, being informed about what it can do helps me to make a decision. And I wasn't looking at them whatsoever. And it's very tough for me to say, okay, we're going to use this. And for me to leave my beloved Basecamp. I mean, this is really saying something. So, yeah, I feel really informed. I'm really glad I was on this session right here. I mean, and just the other sessions too were really good. I really enjoyed this one more so um, than the others. Not saying that I didn't enjoy those, but I really got a lot out of these sessions tonight.
I will say I feel restored. Just being able to one, like have the small breakouts and further connect with my colleagues in the cohort. That's always fun. Sophie and Gabby really appreciated spending time with you all tonight. And the facilitators, all of you all, the ones that are still with us were amazing, real. Sometimes I feel like when you're in sessions like this, it can be so 101 or so general that it doesn't really land with me, and it's hard to like no, okay, like that was great, but what do I do with the information? But I really feel like I took away some tangible ideas, strategies, platforms, technology that I can actually, not have to do too much thinking on. I just have some ideas I can run off and try with just based off of our conversations tonight, which is really nice and was so helpful and so timely. I'm working on a really, really hard project that is like just taxing me right now. And so I needed this tonight, and I really appreciated all the tools and resources shared. So thank you all so much. Tonight was amazing. The whole experience, I agree, Phil, it's been amazing, but like tonight was really special. So thank you all.
I would say my one word is surprised. I think when I think about finances, I oftentimes feel completely overwhelmed. And I'm so surprised that I do not feel that physically in my body right now. And I feel like I have, like everyone has said, like I feel like I have like a path forward. And we talked about finances in so many different ways. And I think having it be conversational instead of like, here's a mirror board and the activity that you have to do, come up with a budget and do like, making it a more conversational and I don't know what the next session is going to be like, but I think having these casual but very informative small group conversations I think was extremely helpful for me as someone who gets extremely uncomfortable when it comes to talking about finances. So I definitely appreciate that. And I'm, again, I feel very surprised at how good this felt and how informing it was. And I feel like I have a path forward and I can do this. So thank you, and thank you again.
So I'm really happy to hear all of this. Again, we were coming at this with like a more holistic lens, and so I'm glad it like really landed for all of you. And again, big love to Sloan, Rasheed, Miguel. Thank you so, 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 so much for being here with us. We have their LinkedIns, their emails. So folks, they're in our community, they're in our collective. So please reach out. And we hopefully will see them again later in the year. So don't worry, folks are here to support everybody.
before we log off, again, as usual, you know what's good. Module survey. Please fill it out. Please fill it out. Sounds so wonderful. All the feedback we just got and we said out loud. Click it, put it in. Takes 5 minutes. And I think it'd be good for us to, again, to show the rest of the other Blackspace team and folks who aren't on this call with us at all. Instructors, I'll follow up with you all tomorrow. And Cohort, if you have not connected with your coaches, please do. I know some of you have, so thank you so, so much. I hope those meetings are also really fulfilling. So if you need anything in the meantime, our next session is September 9th, so we have about 2 weeks in between. I hope everybody enjoys the rest of their August. Stay cool, stay hydrated, and, you know, keep showing up for one another. So I appreciate you all and just sending big hugs all the time.
Okay. Thank you.
Bye.
Gabby, thanks
Thanks,
Love
everyone.
policy,
Bye,
you all.
Gabby.
Thank you so
Thanks.
much.
Good
Bye.
night.
It's nice to connect with y'all. Have a good one.
You too.